Okay, we are live. Hello,
Woohoo!
hello. Mad Marketing Mums are back 2024.
Yes.
And to kick things off for this year, we thought today we would have a bit of a chat about the evolution of TikTok and what's next for 2024, how the platform has evolved over the past few years, and our recommendations for how you can actually use this to market your small business. So I know that when I first started, TikTok was very much people dancing, lip
hmm
syncing, and lots of really like grainy, low quality,
Yep.
real kind of content. Like it was a bit dark and dingy. People were filming in their basements. What did you see when you first got onto the app? And when
Oh,
when did you first get on?
I first got on. Okay, I remember the moment that I was like, I gotta go and download this app, and it was one of my friends was showing me TikTok, and she showed me this guy with a Daffy Duck puppet singing Beyonce's "Halo" in the Daffy Duck voice, or no, Donald Duck. Sorry, yeah, the one with the blue hat.
Yeah.
And I just lost it. And I went, this is just so unhinged and just left field. I need to go and check out what else is on here.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I got on, I was just fed absolutely anything. So I think I got one of those Charlie D'Amelio videos. I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested. And then I started getting puppies. And yes, of course I'm interested in that kind of stuff. And it was a
Yeah.
lot of, yeah, and it was a lot of like short, sharp, a lot of music trends. And then you could start seeing a lot of dancing and stuff like that. But it has changed since then, big time. There's so many little like micro communities now that there's a lot of like hobbies and that you might not have known that you want to try, or even like things that you had no idea that you could learn about and such. That it's absolutely amazing the way that it evolved. And there's been a lot of things going on in the last like month or two, like a lot of dramas that we are going to go into as well,
So
that are
much
going on with
drama.
TikTok. Yeah.
I love it.
um, yeah. And one thing
And
to point
it's
out, we're going to go over the TikTok trends report that came out in January as well. We're going to touch on a few things that they're saying that this is what's going to be coming up in the year for the channel too. We'll have a link in the show notes so that you can check it out yourself, and get your own insights out of it. And yeah, but I'm floored at just how much it's changed in just the course of 2 years. It's still one of the fastest growing apps on the planet as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was very much, like you say, really like entertainment focused in
Mm,
the beginning. And there was a lot of novelty. I think that's what
yeah.
really sucked us all into the app. The fact that there were these surprising and funny videos and content that we hadn't really seen before. Yeah, that yeah, on anything and everything. I think that's also the key point, right? Like you said, there's all these strange communities that you never knew. Somehow I have recently ended up on Prepper Talk. That's people like planning for the apocalypse and the stuff that they are packing in their bug out bags. I don't know how I ended up there, but there you go. And who knew there's a whole community of people obsessed with prepping for doomsday, which you never would have come across otherwise. Super, super interesting. In terms of content, there, as you said before, lots of dancing and lip syncing and all
Mm,
that type of content. We were pointing, there
a
were
lot of.
pointing videos. My first ones were pointing videos, lots of that with trending audio and words popping up on screen as opposed to talking to camera. And there really weren't that many businesses on there. It
No.
was very much just individuals posting content, anything they thought of, anything they saw, like series based entertaining content. So, yeah,
Yeah.
very different to what it looks like today.
Yeah. I think businesses made the assumption that, oh, this is just a bunch of teens that are dancing around. This is not for us. And then there were a few that went on and really honed in on it and showed their brand and their personality so well that it just started almost like a chain reaction. And nowadays, like what McDonald's, Coca-Cola are on there. Some of the biggest brands on the planet are on there trying to really tap into it. I don't necessarily think they're doing an excellent job, but they're on there and they're trying to make their mark. Celebrities hopped on, marketers hopped on, and I feel like there's this saying in our industry that marketers ruin everything. I think celebrities ruin TikTok just a little bit, but marketers certainly have, especially considering ads. are now on
Yeah.
TikTok, and I'm getting them fed so badly, which is one thing that I've noticed has really changed in say the last year on TikTok. As a creator, I used to not get ads at all. If I created content for TikTok, it's almost as if they rewarded me by not feeding me ads. Yet my husband he doesn't post anything. He would just scroll and he would get fed ads. There's no tomorrow. And say maybe in the last 6 months, even though I'm still creating content and stuff, it's every third post is an ad at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Either an
Yeah.
ad or a TikTok shop post or
Yep.
yeah, something with an influencer, right? Yeah, there's
Yeah.
definitely a lot of that content now flooding the app.
Mm,
I've also noticed that it is a lot more curated as well. So it's looking a bit more like Instagram in terms of video quality, the way that people are presenting to camera.
yeah.
It's not so raw. It's definitely edited a bit, but we've moved away from that full-blown crazy transition style content where
Mm,
people are like dissolving into a puddle onto the ground and then reappearing on a
yeah.
beach or something like that. There's still some creators making that type of content because it is really cool and expressive, but day to day people posting aren't really doing the big transitions, I should say, and like swiping their hands across the camera and things like that anymore. I'm glad we've moved away from that as well.
Yeah, for sure. There, we mentioned TikTok Shop. You've mentioned the curated content. There's a lot of thought leadership and educational focus. Now, mind you, I think both of us, because of who we are, our feeds get a lot of this. But it's also with longer videos as well. It's really good that you can hunker down into that educational stuff. And as a service provider, I think that's where businesses have really honed in, is showing their expertise in those educational videos and that thought leadership type of content. And then the other thing that TikTok, I guess you could say when TikTok first started, it was like Las Vegas and it's turning into New York. It's gone from rules are there are no rules to there's an aesthetic that you must adhere to. There's different cultures and stuff like that, but there's party city and then there's sophisticated city. With TikTok, it's also improved. It's evolved with search,
Yeah.
where it's really become honing in on becoming a search engine. They're actually really using it as a tool because they've realized that they have that audience there that is using it for research. That
Yeah.
is, yeah, that is using it as its own, not just a social media platform, but is using it to get answers to every question they want. What is it? I think the stat that we've got is 40% of Gen Z or Gen Z, depending on where you are in the world, prefer searching on TikTok and Instagram over Google, which is insane.
We shared that stat back in our trends and predictions episode as well. But so interesting. And I don't know about you, but I've actually noticed that I've started doing that too. So going to social media
Yeah.
first rather than Google to search for businesses, to search for products and services that I'm
Mm.
actually looking for.
Yeah, and that's actually something that is in the TikTok trends report. It's one of the trend signals that they've noticed and that they're saying for 2024, you hone in on search, but give your answers in a creative way. So we're going to go over that a little bit later. Um, the other thing, the other stat that we've got is 31% of consumers use social media over traditional search engines, like you said. And I don't know if it's maybe because we're addicted to the app or it's shown to us visually versus having to read an answer. And I don't know about you, but sometimes when you Google something and then you hit the website to see like the full search result, it's not really there. And it's not really what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, I love on TikTok the ability you can search, ask a question, and you'll see all these different videos giving an
Mm,
answer. And you can just scroll through them and start looking at the previews of each video until you find the one you're like, yes, they're talking about what I want the answer to. So I think that makes it really easy to seek out those solutions or products or services or answers to your questions, whatever it is that you're searching for. And I suspect it's only going to get better. There's a general move
mhm.
in terms of social media, all platforms to improve their search because of this change in user behavior and the
Yeah.
way that the younger generation are now searching. So I think we can see more, or we can expect to see more in search and keyword development and all of that stuff on TikTok over the next year or so.
For
Now, there
sure.
have
For
been
sure.
some major changes just recently at the time of recording this that I spoke to my students about this yesterday, but these changes are going to have a huge impact on the way that people use TikTok. But of course,
Mm.
as we know, often trends start out on TikTok and then they move over to Instagram. So I wouldn't be surprised if what we see happening here disseminates over onto Instagram. And the first one being that Universal Music pulled its entire catalog. Now, this
Oh,
is
yes.
huge. This is insane. So, all of your really popular commercial music tracks are no longer available, and millions, maybe even billions, I don't know, but millions and millions of videos are now muted.
Yep. I'll put a link. I'll have to find the TikTok video, but there's a creator. You might follow her, Krishla, Heather Cox Codes. She's based out of Baltimore. I've actually been following her, and I think we're mutual TikTok friends since the very beginning. She went down the rabbit hole about this whole Universal Music thing. As background, for anyone that has no clue and has been living under a rock or has been on holidays and then ends up having a chest infection or pneumonia like we both did and has just turned off their phones, Universal Music Group is one of the largest music conglomerates in the world. I think Taylor Swift, she's part of it. A bunch of huge artists are part of it. And they all of a sudden, as of I think it's last week, we're recording this on the 9th of Feb. I think it's, the very beginning of February, they just went, we're pulling all of our music from TikTok because TikTok are a bunch of jerks and they just want to get more money for themselves versus for the artists. Now, TikTok was in the middle of negotiations with Universal Music Group because their contract was coming up. And TikTok has responded going, no, hang on, we are always there for artists. How many artists do we know got their big break off of TikTok versus going on to Universal Music Group and getting signed on? Universal Music Group has found some big artists because of TikTok, right? So TikTok were like, TikTok was like, no, we're trying to have a fair go for artists that are on here and also for our creators to be able to use this music. And more to the point, this is free advertising for you, Universal Music Group. This is going to help your artists chart all the time because you're on one of the biggest social media apps in the world. Like it's been like a very much he said, she said. It's like Real Housewives of music. So Heather Cox Codes has gone on and gone through the rabbit hole because she's actually sick as well with the flu. So she had nothing better to do and went down that rabbit hole and started doing research. And the crux of it is that Universal Music Group signed an agreement with Meta.
It always comes back to Meta.
It always comes back to money and Meta.
Oh my goodness. So that's really interesting because for a long time, Instagram hasn't had the full catalog of music available, at least not on all account types or for all users.
Now, to shake all of the tea out of the teapot also, I commented on that video to her and I said, also who owns 20% stake of Universal Music Group is Tencent. Tencent is, so TikTok is owned by ByteDance. Tencent is ByteDance's biggest competitor.
Aha. Oh, it's all coming out.
Yeah. Now, TikTok has also been doing a push with TikTok Sound On, which is almost like their version of Universal Music Group. It's where artists can upload their music so that they can use it on TikTok. It's almost like its own digital record label. So they've been doing a big push on that as well. So I think Universal Music Group were a bit,
they wouldn't have liked that, obviously.
No, they wanted more of a piece of the pie, and we're just like, that's not cool. That how easy it is for these artists to just go and upload. So they just went, how dare you buy? But they went and signed something up with Meta. And I think like if you look at the press release, and I think we'll try and find it, the press release says something about how like Facebook is going to help elevate artists and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I don't know about you, Krishna, but I think that's an absolute crock.
Yeah. And like you said, there are so many artists that have gotten their big break through being featured on TikTok. Like I've discovered a bunch of artists that I never knew about and I now follow, especially the smaller artists that don't have all of the money behind them to market them in all these different ways. having their songs shared on TikTok, having them used in trends as well,
Hmm.
would be game changing. And I think Universal's saying it's to protect their artists, but clearly not. It'll be interesting then to see what this new, I don't know what to call it, platform channel. What did you say it was called?
So
Um,
TikTok, there's TikTok Sound On, which is where
that's it.
artists can upload their music so that they can use it on TikTok. Essentially,
Mm.
that way it pops onto TikTok as a sound.
Perfect. So that'll be
Yeah.
so good for smaller creators and smaller
Hmm.
musicians to actually get featured. So I'm glad they've got some kind of alternative in place for them. But
Yeah,
oh, watch this space. Very
I know.
exciting. Yeah, and a little bit annoying for those of us who have used commercial sounds to now have all these mute videos. But I guess at least everybody's in that kind of same space. And there
Yeah.
have been some pretty funny videos coming out of that where people are matching really unhinged sounds with their muted videos with the
Yeah.
text saying point of view Universal Studios pulled their catalog and it's got like Thomas the Tank Engine theme song or something to your trending dances or what have you. So super super cute. I like the way that the TikTok community immediately jumps onto something, makes it a trend, makes it funny, and responding in real time. I think that's what,
Hmm.
again, the beauty of that platform. Now, there are some big changes coming or possibly coming to the platform
Yeah.
in terms of video length. And TikTok has been testing out with some of its bigger creators 30-minute videos. Now, this is obviously because TikTok wants to compete with YouTube. What do you think about this? 30-minute videos. Would you sit and watch something that long on TikTok?
No.
I don't
No. Sorry. No.
I don't have the attention span. Um,
No, I don't either. I've given birth and all of a sudden I have ADD. I it's not the culture of TikTok. I think if you want to do something that's 30 minutes long, that's a live.
yeah.
To me at least, and that's the culture that's been built on TikTok, and trying to shift a culture of over 1 billion users to do something that different is like getting them to try to walk through concrete that is just almost hard. Yeah, don't think it'll fly, but I guess we shall see. As far as we know, I think they're only testing this in the US. We did get a notification on our TikTok profile, the Mad Marketing Mums, in case don't follow it, it's at Mad Marketing Mums, that we can upload now up to 15 minutes. And I even think that's too long. I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
uploaded a video of 10 minutes long, ever. And I've never seen a video that's 10 minutes long. I only last maybe 3 minutes, not even that. It has to be that intriguing the entire way through. And
Yeah.
I just don't think it's the platform. It's just not the culture there on TikTok. But I could be wrong.
Yeah. Look, they've gone from what were they initially? 90 seconds or a minute, something like that.
Hmm.
Then there were 3-minute videos. Then there were 10-minute videos. The 15 seems like an interesting little halfway point there. People are watching 10-minute videos and they have been pushing that. But again, like you said, I think it would have to be really engaging content,
Yeah.
packed with value. You're going to need some professional editing, I think, to keep people engaged, like YouTube videos. I think that's what keeps people on there. That's what keeps people watching for longer, or something just really useful and educational. And maybe this is TikTok's been trying to push educational content for a long time. There was even a point where they were going to have a different feed for educational content. Do you remember that? It was like Learn or something like that. I'm glad they got rid of
Yes.
that. And it's just all in the
Yeah.
one feed. But maybe this is them circling back to that, to use a corporate phrase. Let's circle back to this educational content because I guess the incentive for them and having these longer videos is the ability to put more ads into these videos.
Yeah.
Um,
Because TikTok
that's what
has
they
a
want.
monetization problem.
Yeah.
Like they've got the creator fund, and don't quote me on it, but I think the model that they have used on it, it's almost like it's running out of money. They're not paying creators very well. They're not paying them very much. I think last I checked, it's not even available here in Australia. So it's not even available to a large percentage of creators that are on TikTok as well. So it's not many people are actually really taking advantage of it or even are able to. But YouTube's monetization model, everybody gets paid no matter where they are. As
Yeah.
long as your video is longer than a minute, they're able to put an ad through. If they use that model, that's fine. But essentially making us make 30-minute videos is what's the point? We'll just go and do that on YouTube, which is in fact the world's second largest search engine.
Yeah, interesting. So who knows? Watch this space. Yeah, I think, and look, and this comes actually with another change that
Yeah.
they have
So
made just recently, which when I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, no.
no,
And that is landscape orientation videos. Now,
no.
look, it makes sense, I think, because if you're going to put up a 30-minute video, you would take the time and effort to turn your
Yeah.
phone around 90 degrees to watch it in landscape so you can see that full screen, and useful for things where you may have slides or informational details. Again, I'm thinking back to that educational content. But when I first saw this on my feed, I was like, yuck, we've changed. We've come full circle now from going landscape videos, think about Facebook and YouTube and where we were at the start, to then embracing vertical video, Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, all of that. And now we're now turning our phones back the other way.
Yeah.
Oh, it gives me the ick a little bit. I can see if you are making that longer form content or repurposing your longer form content, then yeah, that's where landscape, I think, comes into play. What do you think?
Yeah. I did a TikTok on this a couple days ago, and I intentionally did it incorrectly. One of my TikTok friends pointed out, he's like, "You actually did the landscape incorrectly." I'm like, "Yeah, I know I did," because I wanted to show an example of what TikTok could potentially do. So if you imagine your phone being vertical like this, obviously, and you have that landscape video in there, you've got black or white space on the top and the bottom. Your captions are obviously going to be on the bottom and taking up a portion. But the thing is that if you keep your phone vertical and you have a landscape video there, and it's longer than a minute even, they don't necessarily have to feed an ad within the video. They've got prime real estate at the top and at the bottom to put a static ad. So imagine, an ad up at the top during one of these landscape videos. And then after longer than a minute, they might have another ad there. I thought that's primarily because if you think about it, again, TikTok culture, it's the phone is like this. Imagine trying to change that habit of people going like this for every single video.
And if you're listening to the podcast, Clem is showing the habit of holding your phone vertically and scrolling upward vertically, as opposed to having it landscape. Yeah, it seems like such a tiny little detail, but it is. It's a habit. It's a culture. It's what we've been conditioned to now do. And so I think it's quite jarring to be scrolling through vertically and then suddenly be changing your phone sideways to watch something. Yeah, again, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Now, Helen Police, is it, or Police? The Mothership.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yes. So she's got a massive TikTok following, and she's really good at showing how these new features and such work. And she did a video on it showing this is what it will look like when it's on full screen. And then she also shows that when you tilt your phone, it's like this. To get out of the landscape video, it's not that you just scroll. If you flick the video up, so say you've got your phone like this, and you flick the
horizontal
screen up, it actually, it closes the app on an iPhone at least.
Oh,
so you have to escape out of it and click it like 2 or 3 clicks to get back to the feed, and then you can scroll. Now, you and I know that the rule of thumb is the more clicks you get somebody to have to force them to do for something so simple, the bigger the turnoff is. For example, if you have 7 clicks in order for somebody to order a simple item on your website, they're not going to do it. The more questions you have on a questionnaire, the less likely you're going to get people to do it, because we're all inherently lazy. Just having the sheer fact of doing 2 taps or 2 clicks on TikTok to get back to the feed is going to be such a turnoff for everyone. So again,
hopefully,
it's like,
I would imagine they're working on that. Surely,
I would think so. Now,
if you accidentally close the app, you might go, "Oh, maybe I'll go live my real life." um, instead of
Yeah, all
coming
they
back.
want you they want us to live on the app so that they can feed us ads, right? This is the same thing on every single platform. But again, this is not definite that they're doing this. This is a test, and this is the first instance of that test. So if they really want to invest in it, that's one thing that they're going to have to change. Now, mind you, they have seen decent results, especially on the Chinese version of TikTok. I don't know. Maybe we'll see it convert over here. No idea. I honestly hope not, because again, it just changes the TikTok culture and then turns it into another version of YouTube. And that's not what we all want. We want this little playground to be unique. If we want to go and look at landscape videos, we go to YouTube.
Mm. They're
Yeah.
trying to be everything. It's the same
Yeah.
as, and Instagram's made this mistake before as well,
Yeah.
trying to be the same as every other platform, and it's really been their downfall. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people have lost faith in Instagram. They don't
Mhm.
enjoy being on there anymore because of there are so many new features, so many copycat features, which people know they can get elsewhere. They've lost their unique selling point, right? So you mentioned before the 2024 trend report for TikTok.
Yep.
Take us through that. What were some of the highlights? What are some of the things that we should be keeping in
Mhm.
mind this
Yep.
year when we are creating our content?
Yep. So I'm not going to go and do a deep dive in the report. There's 3 particular trend signals that I do want to tap into, though. And we're going to have a link in the show notes so that people can download this. It's free as well. Really great insights into what TikTok, I think, is expecting their users to do and the trends that they are going to see. So the 3 that I really want to go over are the trend signals are serendipitous scrolling, entertainment without borders, and storytelling unhinged. So
I love that.
yeah, and you should see the report itself. I don't know if I can share. Oh, I could share my screen, but it's some this imagery that they have on here. You're like, okay, are they expecting me to put on a dragon costume and just go nuts? No, it's not that. They are really all about being yourself and really building that connection. But anyway, first one, serendipitous scrolling. What they're saying is a shift from that traditional straightforward search result. So again, Googling and getting a straight answer. What they're really seeing is people are searching and then they're really sticking to TikToks that are really entertaining and immersive and dynamic, are the 3 keywords that they use in there. That what essentially it's, don't just give the straight answer, give it to them in a creative way so that it's entertaining and easy to understand and get. So think about using analogies or showing, okay, here's this example in this form, like using glasses of water to show like self-confidence could be one, or trying to juggle all these things makes you overwhelmed, that sort of thing. Like any sort of those like examples or analogies. Or using hooks like imagine this. Tap into the communities that your audience are a part of to really grab their curiosity. That's a really good way of tapping into that serendipitous scrolling and getting them to stop. Get into communities that you know that they're into to introduce your product in a unique way or your service into a unique way. Because that way you're creating that common connection outside of just going, hey, I'm here and this is what I have for you.
Yeah.
If you don't know what those communities are, you need to do your audience research. And we talk about audience research. I think it's in episode 1, isn't it?
Yeah,
episode
the
1's
very
about
first
personas,
episode.
right?
Yeah.
We have a tendency of going back to that episode a lot because that's how important it is. Yeah, so with this serendipitous scrolling, think about showing something in a dynamic, unique way. Say if you're a parent in business, how would you explain it to your kids? Show it to them that way. Or I've seen a lot of these happen where it's someone is, for example, I've seen one do it really well, is they are explaining something by baking. So they're explaining something by making cookies or something. And I actually did a video on that too. But that way they're showing this analogy that for someone that they might not necessarily fully understand, this is another way for them to see it.
Yeah. It's more interesting visually too.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's exactly
that
it.
visual hook. It's bringing people in for something unexpected. That's why those
Yeah.
Get Ready With Me videos I think are so good, why they work so well, and why people are still continuing to do those, where somebody's applying their makeup or skincare, or they're getting unready. That's a new version of that
Mhm.
too, taking off their makeup, doing their skincare, and telling a story about something completely unrelated.
Yeah.
It's visually engaging. It's you think what's going to come next, and you feel compelled to watch because you want to see the end result of what's happening visually, as well as the story or the lesson or the information that's being shared verbally. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's really interesting.
Yeah. So the second signal that they talk about in this report is entertainment without borders. Now, TikTok and any social media platform, it's the whole digital world. There are no borders. We've had guests on here that are halfway across the world. They're right here. It almost seems like they're right in our backyard. Geographic and cultural barriers just don't exist anymore in the TikTok space. You can be part of so many different communities that you don't necessarily feel like you're at home or anything, but you can just hop from one to the other and just feel comfortable in the TikTok realm that you've created. How do you tap into this? And how do you tap into this entertainment without borders? Show your quirks, show your culture, show yourself. And I know that for service providers, they might think that's very hard, especially if you're in a boring industry. It's not. Tell the stories and the experiences. Tell us how you got into the position that you're in, especially if you've been in the industry for a very long time. Show that, talk about certain experiences that you had. For example, like law. There's two particular lawyers, they're criminal lawyers that are based here in Sydney. One of them is called That Criminal Lawyer on TikTok. It's Ray Zai. I hope I pronounced his surname right. And then the second one is Yahan, the one with the really curvy mustache. I don't know if you've seen him.
Yes, I know who you mean, but yeah, I
And
don't know his name.
I am not going to say his surname, but we'll put links to their profile on in the show notes as well. They have just nailed this whole entertainment without borders. Ray shows, okay, if you're in this sticky situation and you don't want to go to prison or jail or something, like this is what you need to do, you know. And of course, he's doing that to build rapport and also get clients and stuff. That's their whole objective on the channel. He does it in a comical way. Like sometimes he's got a green screen and he's pretending he's at a big music festival, that sort of thing. And it is actually quite entertaining, and it's quick and it's sharp. Jahan does it. He has shown experiences. He talks about certain cases that he's dealt with. He also talks about things that happen in the news. For example, just around Christmas, certain packages with mysterious substances were washing up on Bondi Beach, Central Coast beaches, and he's, if you find one of these, like, don't keep it. This is why. Obviously, like that kind of stuff. And like he's using the news to go and give his expertise of please just don't do this, or this is what I think about with human rights, that kind of stuff, like when there's a big major event. So he's doing it in a bit differently, but he is still showing his quirks and his culture as well in that way, while keeping it in line with his law office and his expertise. They do this incredibly well, I think. Now, the third signal is storytelling unhinged, which I think is the one that is going to be the most fun. The typical beginning, middle, end stories that we saw last year, that have been around for years and years. No. TikTok is going, no, that's just not going to happen anymore. They want to see like the never-ending story or a never-ending series, and giving your community a chance to actually determine which way you're going to go for the next bit.
So this sounds like the type of content, and I know there's a couple. Bistro Huddy is one of the accounts where I see that, and they're always sharing stories of things that could happen in this fictitious restaurant. And I imagine then it would be stuff like that where there's just kind of new episodes, or it's a bit like an ongoing kind of series,
Yeah.
but they're taking what people's comments or stories that they're sharing and turning that into content.
Yeah.
Is that what they're talking about there?
Yes, that is definitely one of the trend signals, is also especially that community fueled storytelling. Now I'm reading off of the report now. those predictable stories that we used to see and hear are just not going to grab that attention. But yeah, that collaborative spirit of TikTok is reinventing typical story arcs. So they're leading that disruptive narrative, that sort of thing. It's just surprise the audience and capture their attention while also inspiring them to join in on the fun. I know one TikToker does this really well as Ashy Ann. She's based out of Townsville.
Oh,
She's
okay.
she's had a debacle with her fridge. It sounds like something really boring. And she has done a whole storytelling series and just brought her entire community on, as she is essentially having an argument with one refrigerator brand that she had that broke down, and going all the way to the ACCC, and how she was like, some ex-employees of this fridge company have gone into my comments and given me tips on how to get them to give me a new fridge, because they were refusing to give her a new fridge, and it's all under warranty. So it's the most boring, ordinary stuff, but they're the ones that actually encouraged her to just keep going and take it on, because they just went, no, you should do this, try this. And then of course she got comments of, I am so invested. What has happened next?
Yes.
She almost couldn't keep up with it, but it was brilliant to watch, and I loved it. And then she shows her new fridge. They even gave her like a $300 voucher for new food, all because I think they realized that A, they weren't going to win, B, she was going to go and get them in trouble, and C, she's got a massive audience, and she's essentially showing how crappy their fridge is on TikTok. So think of that unhinged storytelling and just bringing that community along.
Love that. And actually, that reminds me, there's another creator, again, his name escapes me because there's so many creators, but he puts together outfits and styles different outfits based on what people put in the captions of his previous videos. So someone will say, look, I need a look for prom. These are the colors that I like. And he'll pull together pieces and show how that can work. So I think that's a really good practical example of how you could be doing that for your content, for your business And it's great because people are coming up with the ideas for you. So you don't even have to think of your own content ideas.
No, and this also goes to show that this community-driven type of storytelling, this should signal to everyone, video reply to your comments. Use them, like you said, as that content. Don't just tap in a reply. Go and create a TikTok off of that comment, and you actually will be really rewarded by TikTok. I did a short series, I think, was it last week, about Sprite is actually, they're testing out Coca-Cola is testing out a trial, and it sounds really boring, right? Coca-Cola is testing in Europe of removing the plastic labeling off of Sprite bottles in, I think it's the UK. And I replied to one of the comments using a video, and that video has done so much better than the original video of going through why I think this is a bad idea. It's not necessarily a rebrand, but I think there's a lot of brand recognition that's going to be lacking from it when you remove the Sprite label from the bottle. And the video comment about that goes off of that TikTok is done so much better. So definitely video reply to comments, and don't make it all like polished or anything. Just talk to that comment as if you're talking to that person, like we're doing right now.
Yeah, like you were dropping someone a voice note and reply to a question.
Yeah.
And I've had the same experience as you. When I've done a reply video, it's worked really well. Instagram users, you can do the same thing over on Reels now as well. Instead of typing a reply, you can create that little video reply. Okay, so with that in mind, this is what we think you should be trialing out for yourself. Again, everybody's audience is different. They like different styles of content. You like creating different styles of content. But here's what we think you should at least try out for yourself for TikTok going into the new year. Starting off, as much as it pains me to say this, but starting off with trying some of those landscape videos. So if you get that notification from TikTok saying that is available to you, that you can create landscape videos, by all means, give them a try, because we know TikTok and other social media platforms, they like to motivate us to try new things, to use new features, and because they want to get the data from this in particular, they'll usually give you a nice boost in your views. So it's worth doing that just for that selfish reason. keeping in mind that you want this video to be longer than 1 minute, and be sure to position any text or captions on the actual landscape part of the video. Don't put it in that black or white dead space above or below the video, because otherwise you'll be turning your landscape video into a portrait video.
Yep.
So that will be our first recommendation there.
What's the next one that we have on this list? You have a good one on here. Don't use music.
But don't rely on it.
Don't rely on it. So use your own audio. And I have noticed this quite a lot. If you are going to be speaking in your videos, maybe don't put any audio, any music in the background, because you really want the person to focus on what you're saying. And just don't rely on that trending music, because who knows, it might actually get banned. Or if you want, go and find artists that are from TikTok Sound On. Go and find those original artists and support them. I think, what are ones that we've got on here? Dance Out of My Head by Kat Janice. It's got a beautiful story behind that song. Apparently, and all the revenue that's from that song is going to the 7-year-old son of the artist who's losing her battle to terminal cancer. So she's gotten such good support for that, and there's no way that she would have gotten that support if she were a Universal Music Group artist. I don't think at all.
No way. There's another song that's doing the rounds at the moment, which hasn't got a lot of traction just yet. The track is titled Abusing Me by Yana the Artist, and this creator's donating the proceeds to support those who are affected by Congo's silent genocide that's happening at the moment.
I wonder if we're going to see more of that from artists going, all the proceeds from this is going to go to support a particular cause.
Yeah, social media for social good has been a trend. I hate to use that term, but it's been something that I think has been growing over the years. And if there's ways that you can support causes that are important to you through your music choice, absolutely. But I would say, and this is something I say to my clients all the time, don't rely on trendy music. If you have really important business critical content or messages that you want to get across to your audience, you are best just to film yourself talking to camera and share those messages in your own unique voice, sharing your own stories, experiences, and thought leadership. That is going to do a lot more for your business than any of these trends will do. And that's what we're here for. We are here not for the reach and to be discovered on TikTok. We're here to make money off of TikTok in our own businesses. So while I think we can all get caught up in the reach of our content and we want to go viral, etc., we know that's not actually always the best thing to happen for our business. So I think for the really business critical content, always start with your own voice if you feel that you can do that. And I know some people are thinking, oh, I'm a bit shy for that. There are ways around this. Practice makes perfect, yeah?
And look, you might go, oh, I'm a bit shy for that. I don't want to put my face on camera. But the thing is, in the end, digital is about building relationships. It might not necessarily be face-to-face. But what's the best thing to start that initial subconscious trust is showing your face and showing yourself, and sometimes being vulnerable, and really just showing who you are and showing your culture as per the TikTok Trends report.
Absolutely.
The other thing, keywords. Like, we have been talking about this till the cows go home across multiple episodes of the podcast. Keywords. TikTok they are doubling down on search. Every single social platform is doubling down on search. It can improve your chances of being discovered by doing your research on the certain terms that you want to be found for, but not only putting them in your caption, which is like the typical traditional SEO, but putting them in the cover titles of your video content and saying them as well, because your captions are not only read, subtitles are read, your titles are read, obviously, but they're also crawling your audio as well. And if you are saying those keywords in your audio, they're going to be feeding them to people that are looking for it. And the thing is that with keywords, you don't have to be constantly posting. This is a slow, steady, long game. So don't think you have to be doing this for 3 times a day. We don't even recommend going on TikTok 3 times a day and posting. If you've got time for that, sure, but no, parents don't. Point blank. Like we just don't. We'll go absolutely insane if we do, and our kids will probably set the house on fire if we are concentrating on doing 3 TikToks a day. So really consider what your keywords are and make a conscious effort of putting them in any text and saying them out loud as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the last recommendation here is thinking ahead. If 30-minute videos do become a thing, whether or not they do, it is always useful, I think, to consider how you can be creating long form content. The
Mm.
reason being, if 30-minute videos go ahead, great. You can put up your 30-minute videos that you've been creating, your longer form content. They don't have to be 30 minutes exactly, could be 15, could be 20. But think about some ways that you can go into more detail, create more in-depth content that really shows your audience more about you, it shares your expertise and positions you as that credible source of information or knowledge. And these longer clips, of course, can then be repurposed into shorter snippets that you can use on various social media platforms as well. So, starting with that longer form content, and you may not do this for every piece of content you can create, but certainly for evergreen content that doesn't date and content that has those keywords that you want to be found for. I think that can be a really good way to create a bulk of content or a content stockpile for your business. So if you're not already doing that, I would definitely be recommending that. And whether or not 30-minute videos go ahead, you could always pop them on YouTube, or you can cut them up. You can create a multi-part series of smaller TikToks that you can share out over a week, 2 weeks, a month, as long as you like.
Which is probably what we're going to do with this episode.
Yeah.
and chop it up into those 10-15-minute chunks and see what happens once we've posted it. From the trends report, last couple of recommendations, and this is really much in a nutshell, and definitely grab a copy of the report. It's very insightful. Try something new. Get yourself out of your comfort zone. When people are searching for your topic of expertise, instead of just giving them the answer, get outside of that comfort zone and show it in a creative way. Use analogies or think of, how would I explain this to my toddler? Which you and I probably do every 10 minutes after school pickup, trying to explain something. I
don't know, but mine don't listen, so I don't know whether I'm the best communicator.
Yeah, he asked the other day how babies were made. You're 3
Not
and a half.
yet.
I don't need to explain. As I looked at him, I'm like, me and your dad will explain this at a later time. He's okay. Anyway, show your culture and your quirks. TikTok is bringing us closer together now more than ever. And especially with things that are going on in the world as well. Like, we want to have those niche communities and almost those kind of places where we can be a bit humorous. We can be a bit lighthearted. Consider getting into creating series with a storytelling twist, and get your community involved as well. Ask them what they think you should do as your next move, etc. Actively listen to your customers and to your audience. And if you don't know who they are, go and do some research. Anyway, that's it, I think, for this episode. If you don't already follow us, we are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Mad Marketing Mums. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a follow, leave us a review. The only way that other people can really find our podcast is from reviews and getting that traction from people that are listening and downloading episodes. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to see some love as well as we get back into showing time-saving and sanity-saving marketing tactics and content.
Until next time, stay mad.
mad.